Welcome back. My guest today is local actor Glenn Nelson. Glenn, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
You bet. Tell us about where you grew up. I know in Silver Spring area.
Silver Spring area, mostly PG County, Montgomery County area, pretty much throughout Maryland.
Okay.
Yeah.
What was it like growing up?
It was unique. I grew up in an area that was very multicultural, so I had quite a different upbringing and outlook on life than maybe my parents from a different generation, my grandparents from a different generation. So a lot of different cultures in my neighborhood, especially in PG County, different races, different cultures,
Right.
ethnicities.
Well, that's good because choosing a profession as an actor, just having that experience and understand people a little better and a little bit more affinity for who they are and their background.
Absolutely.
What's your preferred medium? Are you film, television?
Film and
print?
television.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Now I know BS from Bachelor of Science from Towson University.
BS, yeah.
Okay.
Totally bullcrap.
Yeah, total bullcrap.
But I have a bachelor's in film and TV production, so I've spent a lot of time behind the camera, writing, directing, producing, editing, a lot of camera work, and just recently, within the last 5 years, I've decided to branch out into acting. And at first, it started off as a way to maybe fill in the schedule, and quite a few years there, it was the whole schedule was acting.
Okay.
And maybe a little bit of crew work.
Yeah.
And
just tougher to get the crew work?
it depends. So I also enlisted in the DC Army National Guard in 2011, and kind of like a part-time job. Travel, expand my horizons, work on my discipline, professionalism, and that sort of thing. And I wanted to serve my country as well in some capacity. I was a little too old for, I enlisted at 31, so I was a little too old for active duty. The National Guard scooped me up, and they had plenty of slots for military police, so that's what I jumped into. And I realized that it was a great kind of acting school for law enforcement and military roles, as far as acting goes.
Okay.
And I had a number of colleagues of mine that we've co-produced a bunch of music videos, short films, independent films, things of that nature, that left Maryland and moved out to LA, New York, Albuquerque, New Mexico, started acting. And so I kind of got the acting bug myself and figured I'll get some easy headshots done, start applying to some of these acting gigs. They're looking for cops, detectives, soldiers of some sort. And for maybe 3 straight years, it was all acting.
Okay.
And then just recently, I started getting back into some crew work as well.
So it wasn't one of those moments where you're behind the camera and you're watching an actor or actress going, oh, wait, I need to be doing that? Or did you have one of those moments? That happened with me in theater, doing tech work, set design, where I was like, I need to be on stage, not back here. Did you have any of those moments?
It's funny you mention that. So in 2005, I was a first AD on a film, and we wanted to do some stunts, and no one had any stunt experience. So a couple of colleagues of mine and a mentor of mine from Towson University, Keith Strandberg, ran a stunt school in upstate New York. So I went and did this 5-day stunt action film academy, as it's called. And I think they're still running it today, but I went and did that, got a certificate, and when I came back, I was still doing AD work or producer work, production manager work, but I was able to choreograph some of the stunts from what I learned from this academy. I had a certification for that, and I was able to make sure everything was safe. I had some of the equipment, pads, body pads, and then the other kind of pads for them to fall pads and things of that nature. And a couple of times I did the stunt doubling myself for some actors. We were able to work it around to where I could, hair and makeup and stuff like that.
I mean, just listening to your background, what comes to mind is skills, because it's always important on your resume, whether it's combat skills, stunt skills, accents, etc., that you've got all that to add. In terms of projects you've had locally, what have you done, and has it been the law enforcement officer or the military guy? Can you share a little bit about what you've worked on?
Absolutely. Well, around in the DMV area, DC, Maryland, Virginia, we've had a number of production companies that produce those crime shows on ID,
Docudramas.
the crime reenactment shows, and for a while, I think it was every other week I was playing a different detective in a different episode of a show, or be a uniformed cop. A couple of times, the producers were familiar with me, and I looked like the real life guy. They said, "Hey, can you pull off a stepdad?" Or "Can you pull off?" And twice I played the actual perp, because I looked like the guy, and they said, "Well, we've seen your acting experience. We don't want to typecast you too much," but I told them, "Please typecast me.
Yeah,
I love the work.
Yeah.
I'm good at playing a cop or a detective. I love the work. I would love to be typecasted. I'm like that one actor that wants to be typecasted as a cop, always playing a detective."
Yeah.
But yeah, I've probably done maybe around 30, anywhere between 30 and 40 of those ID episodes, ID crime show episodes. And it's funny you mentioned the military. So I'm currently in the DC National Guard. So every 6 months as a soldier, whether it be part-time or active duty soldier, we have to do this online course for sexual harassment.
Yeah.
And they were filming the new videos for the new online course, and I played in one of the sections of the course. I played a sergeant major who's kind of talking to the camera. You know, here's a situation you don't want to be in. Here's a situation where you need to step in, kind of like directing the student that's taking the online course on what to do. One of those interactive courses, and I'm just waiting for that to come out and have all my buddies in my unit. Like, okay, Sergeant Major, you got promoted 5 ranks.
Right.
and something like that. So.
Well, I tell you, one of the earlier projects I worked on was a independent film where I had to play somebody that carried a weapon. So I think what I would do is, because I worked in the security industry, I consulted with former law enforcement, federal agents that I worked with, is on how to handle the gun. I mean, that's one thing when you're watching shows, being critical of, you watch people holding it sideways. You ever have those moments where you're like, oh, hold on a second, like maybe one of your fellow actors just isn't handling the weapon properly?
Yep.
And I'm sure they're all, stock weapons. They're not real weapons or staged weapons, but I mean, that's something I think as a consultant, you're active National Guard. Have you thought about that, or have you been hired for any projects like that where you're the firearm consultant, for example?
Well, me and a couple of colleagues did start military-entertainment-consulting.com, where we do just that. Show people how to stand at attention, or parade rest. Show people how to properly salute, how to properly hold weapons. Maybe advise the screenwriter or the director on lingo. Like there's certain slang that we use now that we might they didn't use in the 80s, and the writer has like old 80s or even 60s or World War II lingo in a modern script. So, we don't really say that anymore. We say this, that, and the other thing, da-da-da-da. And there have been a couple of small projects. There have been a couple of gigs where I was, say, a detective, and it was an acting gig, and I just offered my advice freely. There were a couple of gigs that I was booked as a consultant, some independent projects where they asked, I was on there to advise on, it was military stuff. There was one cop thing and one military thing where it was how to salute, how to stand at attention. And then there was another one I pretty much was like showing people how to breach a door and how to hold a weapon. And,
right.
And
I mean, it is serious work if you're in that line of work. It's not like they make it out to be in the movies, so to speak.
I think they're doing a lot better these days. I've seen a lot of shows where they're killing it, and then I still see a lot of modern shows that have come out in the last couple of years, and they're still biffing it.
Yeah. Now you're a member of Dragonut Connects.
Yeah.
You've gotten a lot of work being a member?
In this area, I've gotten most of my work off Dragonut. I have a basic membership. Considering going to the full bonus plus membership, but I have a basic membership. It's free. I'm able to put up a number of headshots, and that's been all my acting. I'd say 95% of my acting in this area, a little bit in Delaware, Philly, some out in Richmond, a couple of gigs in New York I had, all off of Dragonut. Okay. And it was a blessing. And the first thing I tell other actors on these gigs, Dragonut. Right. Especially, I know it's mostly regional, mostly like East Coast, I guess from New York down to maybe Florida. I've seen some Florida and and Southern State stuff on there too.
Yeah. How did you find out? Was it you got an acting gig somehow? You were on the set.
Yeah. So
like we all found out.
In the summer of 2015, I came back from Kuwait. I was there for 9 months in Kuwait, and that's when I got the acting bug because some of my colleagues jumped into acting. And I found an acting gig on one of the crime shows, on one of the Sirens Media ID crime shows on Craigslist. And so I'm on set, I'm talking to some of the other guys. The first thing I said was, how did you book this? And they said, Dragon Connects. And, it was funny. They said, it's spelled Dragon, UK, Connects. I was like, is he British? And he goes, no, that's just his last name.
Right.
And Dragon Up. And so I went in there, set up a membership. It's free. And it was just gig after gig after gig after gig. Just took a camera, made some quick headshots of myself, but people were booking me left and right for the law enforcement.
That's great.
Yeah.
Now, have you built up any part of your contact information outside of that? Like, you have a Twitter handle or anything like that, Facebook page?
Oh, yeah.
Or strictly Dragon Up Connects?
Well, number one is Glenn Nelson. I guess so you go to Dragon Up and look up Glenn Nelson, you should be able to find me. It's at Glenn Eric Nelson at Twitter. It's at Dead On Pictures. I have my own production company, Dead On Pictures. So it's at Dead On Pictures on Instagram, Dead On Pictures on Facebook, Dead On Pictures on YouTube. We've got a number of indie projects and some passion projects, YouTube series going on YouTube. And I even used Dragon Up to cast a couple of indie shorts that I produced. And this one, so I have 2 web series going on YouTube with some colleagues of mine. And we booked a couple of voiceover actors and a couple of other actors for it. The basic premise is, since I've worked on all these crime shows, these ID crime shows, crime recreeds, I came up with the idea that what would these ID shows, these crime reenactment shows on ID be about if it took place within the Marvel universe or within the DC universe? Okay. So if Bruce Wayne or Clark Kent or Jim Gordon, Commissioner of Gotham PD, were to go home and watch ID, these episodes would be about the Riddler or the Joker. Okay. And so we produced a fictional crime show that takes place about the Green Goblin, or that's Marvel, or Joker or Riddler in the DC universe. And we got a couple of actors that play. So we got the talking head actors that play Jim Gordon or Jeremiah Arkham, or SHIELD agents that are talking to somebody off camera, like the criminologists do. We have a couple of voiceover actors, and we're working on getting some actors together to do the reenactment parts, the crime reenactment parts, the dramatic reenactment.
Yeah, this is fantastic. Definitely want to learn more. Glenn, thanks for coming in today. All right. Folks, don't go anywhere. We're going to be right back with more of the Actors Platform. Welcome back to the Actors Platform. And here we are with Annicco. Annan, how are you?
Oh, I'm fabulous. Thank you so much for asking.
You bet. So tell us a little bit about where you're from.
Well, I live in Washington, D.C., and I go back and forth from here to New York.
Okay.
Originally, my family is West African from Ghana.
All right. So, and where did you grow up?
I grew up in the States, in Washington, D.C.
Okay. What was that like? Like right in the city?
Woo! No. I'm in the suburbs. Okay. We always say Washington, D.C. because, when we say Wheaton or Silver Spring, people are like, huh? But we're like 10 minutes outside of D.C. But it was cool. I mean, it's different in the suburbs than the city. Yeah. You get a lot more diverse.
Sure.
Diverse, period, on all levels.
Right. Now, as far as this profession, acting, what do you prefer? TV, film, print? What's the end game here? What do you like the best?
Work. No.
Work, yeah, don't we all? Yeah.
No, I think naturally I was a theater major, and then I went into television and film, but I
Okay.
still will do a play here and there if I
Great.
find one. I don't really, people always ask me, are you a film actor, are you a television actor? I just think I'm an actor, and I feel like if you know the craft, you know how to tailor it to whatever medium that you need to do.
Mm-hmm.
So like, the best actors come from theater, as a lot of us know. So you have to
Right.
have energy.
Well,
to
great
bring it to the
roots,
story.
great roots. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
so you majored in theater, where?
Yes. I went to Montgomery College in Rockford.
Okay. So what was that like? What was the catalyst that, you know what, I think I want to get on stage? Is there a person, an event?
I've been performing since I was in elementary school, to be honest with you. I didn't just get into the acting business. I tell people, acting chose me. I don't think that it's a craft that people would say, oh, I want to go be this, like an engineer or a doctor or a lawyer. I think with performance and art, it's something that's a gift. So it wasn't something that like hit me. I think I was just really born with it. I've always been performing since elementary school. Talent shows, in the hallway, getting in trouble.
Right.
Dancing, cheerleading, palms.
Right.
Yeah, I know I love people. And
Yeah.
I love to talk, as you see, so let me be quiet.
No, this is all about you. You're supposed to talk. I'm supposed to be the quiet one.
Oh.
Now what, give us an idea of like a project to date where, man, this is why I do this. Like any particular project, film, television show you were involved in, commercial?
Well, I am on a private pilot. I was casting a pilot recently, and I was on a web series on Shock Nation. Shout out to Shock Nation. That went very well for 2 years. It's gotten a lot of accolades, a lot of awards. I've done theater festivals. I've done Delaware Fringe Festival. I've been in DC Film Festival and Theater Festival. I don't know if it's just like one project. I have a private project as well that I'm working on now because I write as well.
Okay.
But for acting, yeah, it's like, it doesn't stop.
Yeah. But Shock Nation, tell us a little bit about that. What is that?
Shock Nation is a web series, and it's about a young lady that uses dance as an outlet to get out of the inner city of Baltimore.
Okay.
And I play a character called Titi. And I play a 19-year-old, well, I'm 19 now, but when I started on the show, I was like 17 or 18. So I'm in high school. I'm like the lively, fun friend, party. It kind of reminds me of myself a little bit. But no, it wasn't hard to get into the role, no. But that role actually, you know, it's so funny you just bring that up because that role is what took me to North Carolina Film Festival a year ago, and I got into I basically entered a contest, and I did well. So I have an idea that's on a platform now, we're working on it and things like that. So one thing did lead to the other, and so now I want to write more too. I was writing already, but now like I've really gotten into the core of like screenwriting, and it is no joke.
Okay. Yeah, I've heard that.
Yeah, it's a whole nother animal.
And music videos too, or no? Anything?
I've done music videos in the past where I was like an extra or like a girl at the club or something like that, but I haven't done any music videos recently. I had a national commercial last year with T-Mobile, which was nice. And that was cool because I actually started as an extra. And I know people are like, oh, extra work, you just never know. So I was an extra, and they ended up pulling me out a clip or a scene that I did. I just did this movement. I don't know. It was a movement.
One little thing, you got noticed.
I'm telling you. And they took me and 2 other actors, and they took our clip, and they made us a principal of the national commercial that ran. Because at first it was just like a 30-second spot, then it became an actual national commercial. Right. That was cool.
Nice.
Yeah, you get money when you're not even working.
Now, you found out about this, our show, from Dragonette Connects, so you're a member.
Yes.
So tell us, what was your introduction to Dragonette Connects?
I've been on Dragonette for a long time. Actually, the T-Mobile commercial, I want to say I saw it on Dragonette. And if I didn't, no, I did. Actually, because it went through one of the local agencies in the DMV area, but they posted it on Dragonette too. And along with a lot of other things, I actually found out about Shark Nation on Dragon.
Okay.
Now that you're even bringing it up.
Yeah.
And Dragon, I've been on Dragon for, it's so long. It's been years, like over 5-6 years.
Okay.
And it's a great platform for actors to find work.
Is that how long you've been pursuing this? About
No,
5-6 years?
over 10 years.
Over 10 years.
Yeah, they say 10 years in the dark, right?
Yeah.
You come out.
Well, how did you find out about Dragon Connects? Most people, it's you're on a set and somebody goes, "Hey,
Okay.
you know this website?"
Yeah,
Tell us
about
your
Dragon
story.
X,
Yeah.
Who told me about Dragon? An actor told me about Dragon X Connect.
Okay.
It was on the set of a play. We were rehearsing for a play that we were doing for DC Theater Festival, and he was talking about how he was getting work on Discovery Channel and Crime ID and all these different things. And I was like, where are you finding the auditions? Because,
Yeah.
you know, even with the agent, sometimes you still don't get all the auditions. He said, oh, you don't know about Dragon X? And that's when I joined. Actually, a friend of mine, an actor told me about Dragon X.
Okay.
So I signed up, and at that time, my headshot was okay. Like, I had got a friend to do it outside, and then, you know, once I upgraded my headshot, because your materials are important,
Yeah.
and I uploaded that on Dragon X, and then I started to submit, I felt like I was getting, like, more work and more opportunities to audition. But Dragon X is it's a great thing. Yeah.
Good. So 5 years out, with your crystal ball and you look at you and as a performer, where would you like to be?
Man, 5 years out.
I told you there'd be no hard balls, but it's a tough question.
So many things I want to have.
Yeah.
Well, I would like to be working full time.
Okay.
And hopefully, like, on my own show.
Okay.
If not, like, some type of, like, drama or sitcom type show, that maybe, like, a format. Not, like, just like yours, but, like, a talk type show, because I'm really good with people.
Okay.
And I do have a radio broadcast background. And I used to have, like, an online radio show, have my own show. I still do it. Now it's more like a video podcast I do, like, on Instagram, and I do, like, I go and I try, oh gosh, how can I figure out this? I travel around the world. This is crazy. It's a show called Ask Annicco.
Okay.
And maybe Ask Annicco could be larger in 5 years. And basically, Ask Annicco started as a radio show online, and I turned it into, like, a video podcast where I go around to Caribbean carnivals and I interview artists. So I'm like the backstage,
Nice.
step and repeat, hey, what's going on, da-da-da-da, talking to patrons, people, artists, producers, promoters, DJs, and interviewing them and just getting, like, the best out of them after they perform. And then I put the format together and I put it up on the channel. So yeah, that's where I would see, like, Ask Annicco larger or Annicco Annan on something.
Have you
Definitely.
used Dragon Connects to post any auditions for that?
I haven't used Dragon to post any auditions for it, only because with the Ask Annicco, I pretty much, I interview the artists that are already on, like, concerts. So these are
Okay.
well-known soca, reggae, R&B artists. I've interviewed Wyclef.
Oh, wow.
I've interviewed, and I've
Nice.
interviewed him twice. Gosh, there's so many. Wayne Wonder, Moto, like, there's so many. Terrence Riley, a huge reggae artist. He's almost, Mama Africa, like, a lot of people that
Yeah.
they'll already be on the platform.
Right.
And then I'll
right.
come in with the promoters, and then I'll do my thing.
Nice.
So, no, I have never posted on Dragon Nut, but I have used Dragon Nut, and I will say it again, to find work.
Right.
Because this industry is tough, and sometimes you have a down period.
Yeah.
And I feel like Dragon Nut helps you to stay connected. Dragon Nut Connect, hello.
Right. Those daily
Yeah.
emails, newsletters that you get.
And he sends things to you too. Like, sometimes when I don't know, like, I don't know. I used to get them all the time. I get them sometimes, but they'll send things like, hey, this looks like it fits your profile. Or,
Yeah.
so even if you're not thinking about submitting, they keep you on your toes. So I think, it's a great thing. It shouldn't stop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you were going to give somebody advice, somebody recent graduate or young person that's just getting into this, wants to pursue it, add more to the talent pool, because there's thousands of us.
Yeah.
What advice, what have you learned along the way of what advice would you give them?
Number one is just, I know it might sound cliche, but be true to yourself. Like, be you, because there's no other you. So your brand is your brand, and don't worry about what someone else's brand is doing. That's number one. Number two, just believe. And don't just believe and don't do anything. Because you can't just be at home like, I believe, I believe. But you don't get on the internet, you're not showing up at network events, you're not socializing. You need to be around other actors and performers, because that's another thing that can bring you down. If you hang out with a lot of people that don't do what you do, you'll start to feel like what you're doing is not normal.
Right, right.
So
Well, I can remember, back in the day doing theater, you're with all the
you should hang out with
theater
thespians,
people that
yes.
you need to be around.
People who do what you do.
Now, what type of, any continuing education, any camera training,
of course,
special skills that you do?
Definitely.
You're taking?
Besides just the whole mental part, because of course you need to have this right before you can go out into the field. But definitely, I've done advanced classes. I studied in New York. I studied here. I used to hook up with John Pilato. A lot of people know him. He's done a lot of things in this area. I studied it in college. I came out of college. I went to the Actor Center too. They have an Actor Center workshop in DC, which is good to get advanced training. Then I've also taken voice and diction. I did that in college too. But there's also like side, I don't want to say academies, but they have conservatories. You can go to outside programs. But for myself, I did it through college, and then I did private training. And I also hooked up with an acting coach. Then New York, I was going to the Mark John Jeffries Academy, which is a great academy. I used to go there once a week. People thought I was crazy. Yeah. I was like, people in the classes in New York like, you come all the way from DC? I'm like, yeah. I'm like, what? But yeah, definitely you have to further your education. Good. You have to keep honing on your tools. If you can't get in the class, read something. Right. Do a monologue. Read scripts. Right. Just keep doing stuff.
Right. That's great advice, folks. So we know we can find you on Dragonite Connects. Yes. Are there other ways we can reach you?
Yes, definitely. You can find me on YouTube, of course. So everyone has YouTube, but I have a YouTube channel. It's the Annicco Annan channel. ANICCO ANNAN channel. And I'm on Instagram at Annicco Annan, Twitter Annicco Annan, just Annicco Annan, just Annicco Annan. Everything is the same.
Well,
Facebook
perfect.
too.
Well, thank you so much for being on the show.
Oh, great. I had a great time.
Thanks for joining us on the Actors Platform, and we'll see you next time.